Welcome back to another podcast episode of Allegedly, the podcast. I am rejoined here with us today, Ash Petrie, editor-in-chief of the Collegian. How are we doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Wonderful. We've got a pretty hot topic we're going to talk about today, and we're going to dive into a lot of different things. I should probably preface this by saying we're not anti-United States. We're Americans. We're patriots, right?
Yeah, I feel at the end of the day, the biggest thing we want is just to see our country be good. Be
Exactly.
better. Do better.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about state level things today because for those of you who do not know, and I mean, it's all over the news, so we probably know. September 22nd, Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 8, which is the bathroom bill. Ash, tell me a little bit about that.
He signed it and then posted a video on X of him signing it. And he said, I'm about to sign something. He kind of did it. He kind of was like, ooh, guys, I'm about to sign something.
Rubbing his hands together like a fly.
No men in women's restrooms. Common sense.
And it was like a selfie angle, too. Like,
yeah, we were too close to him.
We were really close. Like, we saw details on his face I don't think we've seen before.
No, he definitely edited to try to get some of those details away. That man's forehead looked smoother than I'd ever seen it in my entire life in that video, but there were still some crevices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting that he signs it now because I believe back in 2017 there were efforts in the Texas House to get a bill signed very similar to that, and he didn't sign it. I don't remember the exact quote, and I'll have to put it in here when I find it, but basically he said it came across his desk, and he thought it was unnecessary, didn't care, and didn't sign it. So now that we're here in 2025, I don't know how many years later after 2017, I can't do math right now, it is odd that now is the time to sign those amid everything else going on, really targeting gender-based legislator. So,
yeah, I mean, it's really rough because transgender people are being put in a very scary situation everywhere.
Right.
And to now take away the little protection or privacy, I should say, the little privacy that they had of just using the bathroom is now also being regulated.
Yeah.
And how are they going to regulate it, Hope?
Ash, I'm not sure, but I should specify, and I guess to explain a little bit more about what the bill entails, is that any public institution or government-funded institution cannot allow opposite sex or people with I forget what it's called.
So
their original.
It's like, what is marked on your birth certificate as your gender, that is the bathroom that you use.
Exactly.
And if you don't, there's now going to be repercussions.
And there's a violation fee of $125,000 to the institution if it is violated.
So the institution, if it is found out that an individual was using the, quote, incorrect bathroom, they're the ones who get fined.
Right.
When it comes to the person who is using the bathroom, do we know if anything happens to them? I
believe that is up to the institution that is applying it because it's so new. They're still trying to figure out like how that's going to fit to each school and each building because, it's very different. For reference, TCC directly affected by SB 8 because we are a public and government-funded institution. TCC and everywhere else is trying to figure out how they are going to follow the rule to a T because no one wants to get fined for that. I think it's important to mention that there is a very fine balance that we're going to watch over the next couple of months because it goes into effect December 4th. After December 4th, that's when the repercussions start coming. So we have to keep a very watchful eye on the response of every public institution in Texas right now, which is probably discomforting for them because all eyes are on them to see what they're going to do. But I don't know. it starts to go into that moral thing that you and I were kind of chatting about a little bit before we started this.
I mean, there is no way to regulate this, like enforce, regulate, watch, keep track, the whole thing. There's no way to do that unless we have someone standing at the door, almost like a bouncer for the bathroom.
Exactly.
And what is that bouncer going to ask people? Mm-hmm. Can I see your birth certificate, please?
Yeah, like, is this an ID check thing? I mean, like,
well,
I
your
can't
ID
imagine.
can say something different from your birth certificate.
So
Kent Paxton has done a lot of work to try to not allow people to do that. Mm-hmm. But if it's been done, like,
yeah.
Also, just out of curiosity, but if it is kind of a, we're going to watch you and see who goes where, what happens when someone who's transitioned, who looks like who they are, you know, like a man, you know, because they are a man,
right?
But now they have to go into the woman's restroom because their birth certificate says that. So now we're going to have a man with, you know, maybe facial hair, maybe muscles, maybe certain clothing on. I don't know. They're a man.
Yeah.
Who's now walking into the women's restroom? That's Greg Abbott, quote, "No men in women's restrooms."
So what
you
do we
just
do
signed a bill that's going to put men in women's restrooms.
Exactly.
Granted, I don't think that they're going to, like, those men that are going into the women's restroom. Yes, queen, come in. You know, I'll accept you. You can come to the bathroom with me. But either way, like, you've just confused yourself even more, like, when it comes to regulating this.
Yeah.
Like, if we do have bouncers at the door and a dude with a mustache comes up and says, "I have to use the restroom," what is the bouncer going to do?
Yeah.
I don't carry around my birth certificate. Do I need to carry around my birth certificate now? I have been told I look like a twink from the back. So does this mean that I now have to prove? No. I just cut all my hair off.
Yeah.
And I'm tall and lanky. How do you want us to prove these things? Yeah. I don't even know where my birth certificate is. That's a problem.
That's a problem, Ash.
But I mean,
well, you better start searching.
I guess
it's either that or pants dropping, you know?
So it's like
obviously it's an overstatement, you know, but like
what else are you going to do? And that's where it's like, they're not going to do those things.
Exactly.
Because they can't do those things. So what is it now? You and I now morally, I mean, you and I won't if I'm in the bathroom and you're not bothering me, I'm not going to try and get you got, but other people will, because morally they think it is some implication or something that they have to do.
Right.
And it's a common theme. It is something that typically you have a like moral conduct system that your population, you know, whatever, you know, if you're a politician, there's a moral code and conduct that people follow that you don't want to have as laws, because then you're having to use people's tax dollars to pay and regulate these things,
right,
and or enforce them, which stuff like this, which it's like moral conduct, it's really hard to enforce. So they're now creating laws for morals. And we've already seen the issue with A&M of someone saying, President Trump doesn't agree with these things. We're not supposed to be teaching these things. And then what happens? The teacher gets fired. The president of A&M steps down. Whether or not that girl is a Trump supporter or not, she's tattletelling out of fear of the repercussion.
Right.
And that's what they're wanting us to do. They're wanting us to monitor each other so we can tattletale on each other, because they can't enforce this. They know they can't enforce it unless they start putting cameras in bathrooms.
Yeah.
And watching us doing very private things.
Right. In bathrooms where, like, we already don't have enough privacy as it is.
No.
Like, I don't know if you've had this experience, but, like, having children, like, try and crawl under your stall.
Head, and it's like, hey. And you're like,
hey, bud.
Oh.
Where's your parents?
His kid's live in the Chuck E. Cheese tonight.
Exactly.
Like,
So it's like, there's already like huge gaps in these bathroom stalls because if we're so focused on women's bathrooms, like let's talk about
safety.
the problem that we have already.
I have made eye contact after farting in the bathroom with someone waiting to get into the stall after me.
Right.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
People come to this country and complain about our public bathroom system because it's not private. We don't get our own actual stall. Like there are gaps, there are peekaboo slots, there are everything. And I've traveled to other countries and it's either kind of singular porta potty situations, which aren't like our porta potties, are actually kind of nice. Self-cleaning, pretty cool.
Pretty awesome, actually.
Kind of cool. Or you actually have a wall-to-wall, like ceiling-to-floor stall where no one can look in, and the door actually locks, and on the outside of the door it says either vacant or occupied with red and green. And I've seen more gas stations start to implement this, like newer places. I went to
a Buc-ee's.
That I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear you say that.
Big fan of Buc-ee's.
I have been there. I have been in Texas for 27 years. That is my whole life. I've been to Texas. I've been to Buc-ee's 4 times, I think, 4 or 5, and
really?
I hate it every time. And we went to Buc-ee's, the newsroom, when we went to San Marcos last semester. And I remember looking at Fosi and I was like, I am in and out. I am in and out. I don't want anything. I'm not going to buy anything. I am in and out, and I'm going to go sit in the sun.
It's a wonderland.
It is terrifying.
It smells so good in there.
I mean, okay. But either way, do they have bathrooms? I don't really pay attention because when I go in there, I am just distorted.
Buc-ee's bathrooms, I will say, Buc-ee's does one thing right, and it's those stalls. I mean, huge, like, massive room lining the walls.
But you know what's crazy?
Beautiful private
They're not
bathrooms.
a public institution nor a government building.
That's neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. I don't know. I don't know Buc-ee's political or moral codes of conduct, but they at least have those bathrooms.
They do.
You know what doesn't? Most schools.
Yeah.
And it's not for safety. I wouldn't say it's for safety. They can, hoot and holler about that until the end of the day, but
that is the least safe. Like, you're already in a vulnerable position, like pants dropped, you're sitting there, and then like, I mean, what is keeping you safe? The massive gap by your feet, or is it maybe by the
what if you get stuck in there?
Exactly.
Hope? What if you get stuck in there? Hope?
You're right.
What if you get stuck in the bathroom and now a teacher has to come and break down the door?
And what if it's a trans teacher, Ash?
Oh no!
Like, and then here we go again.
Yeah, because I think that argument can be easily shut down with, have a key for the stalls. You don't need to buy multiple keys for every stall.
Right.
They don't all have to have different locks. It could just be one lock. And then the argument is probably, well, what if someone steals the key?
What about privacy?
What about? And it's like,
what about
privacy?
What about what?
But here's the thing. I don't think that's going to happen. It might happen. There might be there might be 1 or 2 bad eggs, in the system, in the public toilet system. But I can guarantee you that more people would be willing, like, okay with having their own stall, with some person having a key in case of an emergency. And then also for everyone to have privacy. And then also, it'll be great for this law.
Yeah.
It would actually work. But who's going to spend government tax dollars to fix all of these bathrooms? Who's going to spend government tax dollars to add more gender-neutral bathrooms? Because they're not affected by the law, right?
No one wants to do that. And that's the issue that we see over and over and over again with legislation that targets one specific, as they view, problem. And they don't want to do anything else to fix the result of everything else around it. We think of overturning Roe v. Wade, where women don't have as much access to, to birth care and things like that, But now we're running into issues like, what about the adoption system, the already overrun adoption system? How are we going to handle women who have birthing complications, because people are scared. People, like, doctors are afraid to give care to these people now because we've completely shut down some of these problems, And then we go back to what we've been talking about with Senate Bill 8 and the fact that, okay, if this is what you truly want to do, how can we make it work for everybody? And there's no answers for it. You know, we just go back to men in bathrooms, you know, like.
And it doesn't affect gender neutral bathrooms, does it?
No, it doesn't. There is very, very specific legislation on family bathrooms, but I haven't heard much about it right now because it's so new. But as far as we know, gender neutral bathrooms are okay.
So I think for TCC students, just know there are gender neutral bathrooms, I believe, on each campus. They're kind of far and few in between, but there are also the family bathrooms. I know some of them are located in the libraries that we have, and I'm pretty sure to access those bathrooms, you just have to ask your librarian for that key.
Right.
Please do not use those bathrooms if you just want a solitude place to poop, because I think it's important to stay. But right now, like, people need to use those bathrooms.
Right. More than ever.
And let's just poop with other people, like the good old medieval days.
In our open concept bathrooms.
With the AC unit exposed.
Yeah.
Because that might be the next step. Your industrialized bathroom. It's so...
It's modern.
Farmhouse and modern.
It's so Joanna Gaines. It's so...
Magnolia.
You're going to love what we have in store.
You're going to love the way your bathroom looks. Your public bathroom.
And they've got vases, like white blank vases that say vase on it.
Yeah.
Sitting on the counters.
Yeah. Toilet paper.
Exactly.
No, but in all seriousness, I think, like, I'd have used the family bathroom once or twice, but I mean, I'm at this age personally where it's like, if I gotta go, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm not walking all the way to this other bathroom to use it. But I do know students will try and use those for the privacy, but I think we should just kind of say, for a little bit, maybe let's let the people who want and need right now, not want, need to use those, just use them, or let them use it. You know, we have our own bathrooms. It's not the most private, but we're at least safe from the opinions and perceptions of others, people trying to look, reach out, tattletale, who knows, just so we can protect that community.
Yeah. Because I think in a time where they are trying to separate people in the public, we kind of have to come together. And I want to go back to what you said in the beginning about tattling on each other. Because you make some really good points earlier.
I mean, that's what they want us to do, because if we start to tattletale on each other, we don't trust one another anymore. I mean, when they put these things into law that no longer are a moral code of justice, it is now written. Especially laws that are written in that can't be regulated in any way, like we just said, we don't know how they're going to do this. There is no way for them to do this, so they're expecting us to tattletale on one another. So we're continuing this issue that is just already being profited on, which is separating us and making us think that the other person is out to get them. And then the more that happens, the more chaos ensues.
Right.
I mean, more people tattletaling on other people than those people tattletaling on other people. And then it's most likely going to become a more and more aggressive situation. And once that happens, what is the law going to do?
Right.
The law is going to step in and say, you guys can't control yourselves. I said that like a time. You guys can't control. No, they're going to come in and they're going to say, you guys clearly are not able to follow the rules. You guys are not able to cooperate. Therefore, we are going to create even more laws that are going to take away more of your freedoms so we as a government can control you more.
Right.
Like, we've seen this in history time and time again, and it's unfortunately right now easy to do it with the trans community because morally America has used Christianity, or like, I don't know, Christian, pagan, Catholicism, whatever. They've used those core values for conduct to enforce publicly without written law this moral code of justice, or like, you do this, you don't do that. Like, yeah, murder, illegal, but telling someone they're ugly, not illegal, but maybe don't do it because it's not nice and you're going to hurt someone's feelings. But we're seeing more and more that people are denouncing this set code for humans, for the American population. And that's not good for politicians.
Yeah.
Because they're riding off of that religious thing. And so the religious population is very against trans individuals right now. They are the target. And therefore, they're the ones being attacked by law. But I mean, who's to say that when the government has to step in to gain more control, they're not going to start tiptoeing around other freedoms and other areas with the trans, you know, with trans people as the like target.
Yeah. And it doesn't just stop there. I think there's this like quote that I think of when I think about like how governments start to encroach on certain liberties, where someone's like, well, it doesn't affect me, you know, like these things are happening, but it's none of my concern because it's not my personal problem. But the country is at its worst when it's dividing itself, you know. I think of like the Red Scare as the biggest example, when it was just like communists on every corner. Like the average person was like, you must be a communist if you do this, this, and this, you know. And that was a really, really bad time for the U.S. because politics were really bad. We were having international problems. I mean, like, the slightest tip off, you know, could mean the end of someone, and that's a bad time.
And I think another point out too is this is happening with immigrants right now as well. Like they're making very bold suggestions about immigrants in this country, and now they are also a target. It's very clear that it's easier to target these individuals who represent such a tiny part of our population, mind you, and then to just make it seem like you're saying, they're around the corner. You got to go find them. You got to go catch them because they're the problem. Yeah, they're causing the issue. Which I wanted to kind of go over some math that I did. Yeah. Granted, when it comes to the percentage that I have written down of people who identify as trans, I don't really know how they're getting these numbers. Right. And I don't even think there's really a way to be able to get these numbers without, I guess, knowing it. I don't know, because I know we kind of made a joke about it, but Kent Paxton a year ago trying to make a registry of all the trans individuals in this state. Yeah. And then clearly being shut down so unbelievably fast because, first of all, what do you want to do with that information?
Yeah, now that you've got everyone publicly talking about their gender status is like... Why do you
want to know that?
Why do you want a registry? You know what I mean?
Do you want some advice, Kenty?
Kenty? Yeah. Oh, God.
But either way, so what I found online was that roughly 0.8% of adults identify as trans in the U.S., and then like 3.3% of the youth identify as transgender. The 3.3% seems fairly high to me. Either way, again, this could just be something that they're getting off of social media, which isn't the most accurate in any sense of the way people say things online all the time. But going off of like an average between the two, I think I saw that it was roughly like 2%. We'll say that. 2% of the population in the U.S. is about 2.1 million people. Yeah. That's a lot of people. I agree. But in the United States, in 2024, the update for our census was that we have 340.1 million people in the United States, right? So if we say out of every 100 people, how many of them will be trans from these numbers? Well, Hope, I'm glad you asked.
I did, yes.
It is 0.6 of a person out of 100 people may potentially be trans. 0.6. Would you say that that's about torso to knees? Are we including the head in that? Clearly, it has to have a head. It needs to have a conscience for it to say.
I would say just like slightly from the shoulder. to the side.
Okay, so like maybe one arm, one leg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe an eye so they can see, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so the 1/6 of a person, or 0.6 of a person. Now, if we're gonna really put that into terms, let's just say 1 out of every 100 people could be trans.
Yeah.
But that's not 1 out of every 100 people you meet in a day. That's 1 out of every 100 people in the 3.8 million square miles of this country.
Right.
That's 100 people scattered across our country.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 100 people, 0.6 of a person could be trans.
Yeah.
So the thing about this bill is it doesn't make sense. You are trying to make people afraid of a group of people that really isn't that common.
Right.
They're trying to make you think that these people are more common than they are.
Right.
They are people. They do exist.
Yeah.
There are probably some people that are maybe in your day-to-day who could potentially be trans. But even so, let's all think about our normal day-to-day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know when you come across a trans person, Hope?
No. No.
And have you ever had a trans person try attacking you?
Nope.
Wow.
Wow.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
So,
In our entire existence.
and I want everybody else to think about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And if there has been a situation where maybe someone approached you and was talking to you about it, or was telling you, hey, you hurt my feelings when you said this because I'm trans, and you were attacking the trans community, because that's the only time I think I've ever heard of people saying that a trans person attacked them, quote,
Right.
because they started the attacking.
Yeah.
I don't think these people are trying. I don't even think they want to go to the bathroom with us personally. They're
Yeah.
probably more terrified to walk into a bathroom than any of us have ever been afraid that they're there.
Yeah.
But because the legislation and the current administration is trying to make people afraid of them, now we are, right? Now we're like, oh my God, oh no, they're in here with me.
Yeah.
Where the trans person has always been absolutely terrified of every time that they have to step in the bathroom because of that. And now their actual fears have been written into law. And I'm sure TCC and I'm sure other, public institutions or government, places are trying to hopefully think of the trans person's experience and keeping them safe. But also, that's almost impossible when now half of the population thinks that it is now their turn to protect the bathroom.
Right.
Which it's not. That's not what this is. And that's why I said earlier, like, let's all just stop using the gender neutral and family bathrooms for a bit and keep those safe places for the people who need them. Because right now, the trans person is probably so unbelievably terrified because there's not a lot of trans people. They are very singular. There's LGBTQ groups, yeah, but how many trans people in the state of Texas have another trans person readily accessible there with them every day, and they can lean on each other for support? Probably not that common because, as I said from my math earlier, every 0.6 of a person out of every 100 is probably trans. And it's like, people aren't doing the math themselves. People aren't actually calculating this. They're mindlessly hearing what these individuals are telling them, and it's false, it's incorrect, and now there's more harm being done on a group of people than ever before.
Right.
And what are we going to do about that? And how can we, with this new law, support our trans community?
Yeah.
How can we better help them? Because nobody else is. Nobody's actively fighting for them in politics. I mean, yeah, sure, some people maybe are, but it's far few in between. And currently right now, it's better for a politician to attack them and write laws like this to gain support for a future election.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we only have each other, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to the bathroom with other legislators right now.
They're not in the bathroom. They're
us,
helping us.
Yeah, the common student.
Well, and it kind of goes back to, you said something about Roe versus Wade being overturned. If you're so afraid about men being in women's bathrooms, why do rapists still not get the charge that they deserve? If you're so afraid of men being in women's bathrooms, Why haven't we done anything to protect the women's bathroom in the past?
Yeah.
Also, didn't we just say that trans people can't be in sports, whether it's with their actual gender or with the gender that they identify as?
Mm-hmm.
But now we're telling them that they have to go to the sex they were given at birth bathroom? Like, then nothing adds up.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense. And they're just, politicians are doing what greedy politicians do.
Yeah.
They actually don't have anybody's best interest in mind, whether it's their supporters or the individuals they're attacking. And I think that's what needs to be said at the end of the day, is that actually look into the math, do your own research, and compare it to what these individuals are doing.
Yeah.
Because now a group of people, and it's not just trans, they're going to go, people who are going to utilize this tattletelling system are going to go after everyone they can in the LGBTQ community. And now it's just like this entire group of people is no longer protected in the state of Texas to use the bathroom.
Yeah. It's almost like they don't really care about protecting women. It's almost like they're just sifting through minority groups to figure out how much more they can do to regulate before they've got the control that they need, which I'm not going to go on a crazy rant about what that looks like, but we've seen it before in other countries in times of history, and we have the ability of foresight now to be able to look back on past events and go, we don't know what they were thinking, but we know now that was bad.
That was the last real issue America's noticed as a world issue that needed to be taken care of.
Yeah.
We kind of like disregard Vietnam because we're like, what happened there?
Who?
What? Who? Huh?
What
and
did
then
they
we're
do?
still actively in the Middle East, even though we're like, we're not there.
Yeah.
But I mean, either way, that was the last real example we have as Americans. And I think Americans can all agree was a bad thing. It's so crazy to me to think that people who face this historically, you know, within the past 100 years are saying, hey, America, watch out.
Yeah.
We've concerned.
Noticed this. We've seen this before.
Wait, it's
alarming.
And here in America, we're like, World War II?
Yeah.
You got it all wrong in the history books.
Yeah.
That's actually, here's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can do that here.
Yeah. And especially when we start to lose trust in the media and then we make people not have to read the facts, but that's neither here nor there. So,
and I think it's important to note, like, I think a lot of people who are doing research, who are like us, we get flagged as, you know, woke liberals. We get flagged as all these things. And it's like, I think at the end of the day, I'm going to fight for people's rights. Mm. And it's just unfortunate that it continues to be the same people and not a very certain type of people who keep getting attacked.
Yeah.
I'm not woke. I just think people should have rights. And they should be able to use the bathroom.
Yeah, it sounds kind of lib to me, Ash. I don't know. Maybe
should I go pee in a bucket?
Yeah, you know, I think we should have state-administered buckets. So we can just avoid the whole problem. Kind of like a Wall-E situation.
Yeah.
All those people in those ships were like, you know.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, community support. And even if you don't agree with the trans identity, you don't have to. I don't think that's what is being asked of you. What's being asked of you is to be a decent human.
Right.
And don't peek under the bathroom if you suspect somebody's using it who shouldn't be.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of things covered. I think, end of the day, we just need to be there for each other. Peace, love, happiness. No,
live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love. No, we really do need to remember the values of this country in a time where it's kind of being broken down, you know.
Exactly.
So that's all the time we have for today, though. Thank you for listening to us talk about all this.
Thank you.
As always, have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Allegedly, Hope said those things.
Allegedly. Dun, dun, dun. Goodbye.
Bye.